hey, if you look up Jem's Art Studio, they have this beautiful Ukrainian sunflower. It's absolutely worth checking out. All the profits are going to go to help Ukrainian charity, so please check it out. It'll be great. All the links will be below in the description and probably here in the picture. But yeah, go help them out. Ukrainians are going through hell right now.
This Organized Chaos video is brought to you by Jem's Art Studio. Jem's Art Studio is an online store that allows access to prints that you can use for most anything, obviously as just a picture, or as a wallpaper, or as a bookmark, or anything you can think of. You can find Jem's Art Studio at etsy.com/shop/Jem's Art Studio. This video is also brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello again. I've been on YouTube probably longer than I'd probably like to admit. But I remember when I first started. Obviously, I was more into the movie stuff. And I remember, essentially, when I started, the two big movie reviewers on YouTube were Chris Stuckman and Jeremy Johns, who I enjoyed more or less for different reasons. I definitely prefer Chris Stuckman. I felt he gave more of a professional movie analysis to it. But Jeremy Johns kind of had his fun, goofy thing, and that was fun too. It was kind of like you get this more professional analysis and also more of a layman's analysis. And they both have values. But there was someone else who also was doing the movie review thing. And this person's still around. They have about just under 1 million subscribers right now, which is massive. But the problem was, whenever I watched their critiques, it was always so superficial and shallow. I don't think I've ever sat down and watched through a single one of this person's critiques. And I don't know why I'm being vague, because if you've seen the thumbnail, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Grace Randolph. I think I watched her Maze Runner review, and all I remember was her talking about how Dylan O'Brien was a big up-and-comer and how it was exciting to see him in Hollywood. And I don't even remember what she said about the movie. It was probably all just about Dylan O'Brien. It was so superficial, I don't even know if I finished the video. It was bad. But anyways, I saw her popping up on Twitter with this tweet that people were sharing. Grace Randolph, Jesus fucking Christ. Why do you care if some people like Morbius and it does okay at the box office? See it? Don't see it. Bullying movies has got to stop. Try just not saying anything about it, huh? This is all very confusing to me. When she says bullying movies, is she talking about, being mean to the movie itself, or bullying people who disagree with you on the movie? If you're talking about being mean to the movie itself, then it kind of depends. If it's a bad movie, go ahead and critique it. I would say name-calling should be off the table. I'm certain that every movie has people who worked very hard on it. But, if you don't like the movie, say you don't like it. But if she's talking about bullying people who like the movie, yeah, I see that too. Lots of people criticize me just for my opinions on a movie. And yeah, you shouldn't. But people do that for, everything, really, on the internet. Any opinion will get bullied on the internet. It's not just movies. Movies are there. But if you say any opinion, people will critique it. I could sit here and tell you, my favorite color is green. And people will critique it and bash me for that color. People say names on the internet. They shouldn't. It's a thing. I don't even know what this means. And it's one of those things where it's actually very tough for me to get any sort of context on this. And it's something you may have noticed because, usually when I put up tweets, I'm in light mode because I'm one of those freaks that use light mode, and this is not a light mode tweet. And the reason for that is because she was actually one of the very first people to block me on Twitter, possibly the first one. I don't know if I have that many people who have me on block on Twitter, but she definitely does. And why I'm blocked on Twitter, I actually have no goddamn idea. Not saying I really care. I never valued her critique anyway. But especially looking at that tweet and the fact that I'm blocked tells me probably has a thinner skin than she should have on the internet. But all that's not that big a deal. However, if she's going to have a thin skin and not really want critiques, let's go ahead and look at... Somebody put together this clip of her on the internet, and I apologize because I do find her voice... I'm not somebody to criticize voices because I have a terrible voice, but just the inflection she puts on her voice is... well, you'll hear it.
I feel like a member of the Losers Club, and Pennywise knows exactly what terrifies me. Jessica Chastain destroys everything she touches. Let's hope the same doesn't hold true for X-Men Dark Phoenix. And when it comes to Molly's Game, the only real problem with the movie is that Jessica Chastain is smack in the center of it. Bam, there she is. And I was like, I can't believe my luck. Jessica Chastain is not only opening this trailer, but as it turns out, occupies a decent chunk of it. For every single person who says, leave Jessica alone, Grace, like sometimes pretty aggressively. On Instagram, Jessica Chastain posted this long, rambling discussion of a double rainbow. And you're like, you tried too hard, Jessica Chastain. She maybe has the biggest, footprint, you might say, but her box office numbers are just absolute trash. Jessica Chastain has never met a band.
Box office numbers? What does that mean? And that's the thing with her. Like, anything I see of her, it's so superficial. Like, we're going to bash on Jessica Chastain because her box office numbers are low. Are you a film critic, or are you analyzing box office numbers? Pick a lane.
And she didn't want to get on. And she's like, yeah, everyone, I'm the star of this movie, so who are you going to put around me, right? She's like, oh, don't you feel bad for me? And I'm like, I do not. I know my Jessica Chastain. For everyone involved, including the behind-the-camera talent as well, this is going to be a really long shoot and press tour having to go through it with Jessica Chastain. Oh, I think she looks very good. That's a beautiful, very flattering shot. But she's so stupid.
And I find it interesting for someone who clearly doesn't like internet criticism, is very quick to criticize Jessica Chastain for reasons. I mean, she's a very talented actress. I mean, I guess you may not like her as an actress, but I don't know. Just everything about her. Like, ugh. What do I have now? What does this say?
I enjoyed Morbius, and I don't care who knows it. That's right. In fact, I kind of hinted at it in a tweet when I got out of the press screening, and then some of you were mean, so I deleted the tweet because you were being mean to this movie. You're not giving it a fair chance, man.
So wait, are they being mean to her or being mean to the movie? Yeah, they're not allowed to not like the movie, Grace. It's not a good movie. I know a couple of you have asked for my movie reviews. I do movie discussions on the podcast. I don't do normal style movie reviews anymore. I am putting together some, versus essay stuff. But, mainly if you just want my raw opinions of a movie, go over to the podcast channel in the description box. But yeah, lots of people seem to be talking about her take on Morbius. This is from the 31st. Let's go ahead and dig up her channel. 942,000 subscribers. She's become huge in the past few years. We're not going to do that Morbius spoiler one, because obviously we're talking about the no spoiler review from a few days ago. It's bad. I really don't want to click on this. I'm going to make it clear. I don't have any, real personal issues with Grace Randolph. I just find her style obnoxious. Let's see.
I enjoyed Morbius, and I don't care who knows it. That's right. In fact, I kind of hinted at it in a tweet when I got out of the press screening, and then some of you were mean, so I deleted the tweet because you were being mean.
Why did you delete the tweet?
Into this movie. You're not giving it a fair chance, man. But one of you responded and was like, Grace, if you gave Moon Knight a rotten tomato and you give Morbius a fresh tomato, well, it's happening. I'm sorry. I've seen other episodes of Moon Knight. You have not. And Morbius, I'm not saying it's the freshest tomato ever picked, but it's enjoyable. I liked it. I had a good time. I mean, I went in with rock.
Well, I haven't seen other episodes of Moon Knight either, but the first one kicks the shit out of Morbius by like a mile.
Bottom expectations, which might have helped. So don't let me get you jacked.
Oh, I went in with rock bottom expectations too, and it well underperformed those ones. It was, it was just nowhere.
Messed up too much. When the movie, I'm just so delighted that I had such a good time. But when the movie started, it had this amazing heart-pounding score. I know I love that kind of music. I was like, all right. And then it had these amazing, really strong visuals. They started out in Costa Rica in the rainforest, and it looked real good. And I was like, hey, maybe I'll be able to tell everybody this movie's watchable. And then as it went on, to my surprise, it became more than watchable. It became an actually good movie. Now, again, as I said, it's not a great movie. Let's not get carried away here. But I think it's a good movie that deserves our respect.
Okay, I'm giving her a chance to do her setup, because so far she's not gone into any specifics, so I can't, say anything. It's like, I have a feeling she's not going to get into specifics, but we'll see.
Oh, I mean, I think they accomplished what they set out to achieve. And they certainly surprised me with how much I enjoyed it. And I think it has lots of potential for the Spider-Verse. I also think it helps that I saw it as a matinee. Morbius is a real good matinee. It was sunny when I came out. I was like, hooray! I love seeing a good movie. I loved seeing it on the big screen. It was very thrilling.
Oh, good. Your critique of Morbius is I like seeing it on the big screen at matinee. Oh, jeez.
I had a really good seat. The screen was real big, and they had a really great sound system, and it was just fun. I mean, the only thing I would have made it better is if I could have popcorn and soda. Fizzy soda. Stupid pandemic. But if you feel comfortable doing...
Why didn't you then? I'm confused.
Doing that, you'll have an even better time.
So wait, she's uncomfortable getting popcorn and soda during the pandemic? Okay, sure. I mean, I'm cautious of the pandemic as well. I'm super cautious, but, okay. I still get popcorn and soda at places.
That said, the two end credit scenes are a total hack job. They are ridiculous. Jared Leto doesn't even match the rest of the movie because he doesn't have the same hair and makeup team, it looks like.
Well, they are also really bad. It made no sense. Spoilers for a movie you shouldn't even watch. Just FYI. Adrian Toomes ends up in two post-credit scenes where he kind of teleports into this dimension. So this is established not to be in the MCU. But he teleports in, and now he wants to talk to Morbius about forming a team. And it's weird, because they treat Adrian Toomes as if he's like this huge mastermind. And it's like he was in Homecoming, and he was a cool villain, but... Huh?
We'll talk about them in a separate video. It's a shame that's the note that the movie ends on, because that's what a lot of people will walk away with. But before those scenes, and I think those scenes are necessary because they're building they're building a Sony corner of the MCU, right? This makes me feel much.
And they're doing a really bad job at it.
Much better about Kraven. Because I think that this is a successful launch of a character in the Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man as Venom. I mean, at least I think it deserves to be. Venom, people were making fun of that before it came out too. So let's see if Morbius can also find an audience.
Well, that's the thing. Venom is bad. Both Venom movies are quite bad, but they're not the worst things ever. And honestly, Tom Hardy's performances in those movies is so, like, entertainingly bad. The way he plays Eddie is weird and fun, honestly. It's not Eddie Brock, but it's entertaining how he does it. And the relationship between him and the Venom symbiote is actually kind of fun. The movies suck. Story, villains, they're all garbage. That's the only thing that works at all in those movies. And it's not like Venom. It's like alien symbiote dude that looks like Venom. Morbius has none of that. Jared Leto has no charisma in this movie. I couldn't tell you anything about his personality except he's sick, and then he's a vampire dude, and he's smart. That's it. At least, like, Venom, like, I could tell you, like, he's kind of a loser. He has trouble with his relationships. He's, he has trouble holding down a job. He has trouble sticking his neck out. Morbius, I don't know anything about him other than fucking smart and was sick and now vampire dude.
And I didn't like Venom too. So, I'm just trying to, calibrate our thoughts here. And when Morbius started to learn about his powers and he started to use them, my reaction was, oh, he's ready to spar with Spider-Man. That's a fight I'd like to see. Well, I say spar because Morbius is an anti-hero character that sometimes fights Spider-Man, but sometimes helps him. And speaking of the comics, I would say that, like Venom and Captain America's Shield, seeing Morbius in live action made me finally understand the popularity of the character in other mediums. Like, looking at Morbius comic book covers and looking over some of the stories to get ready.
Okay, I know this is no spoiler, but you can do, like, no spoiler and still, like, essentially talk about movie details. Say maybe there's this element I didn't like. When I do no spoiler stuff, the one thing I will spoil is anything in Act 1. Anything in Act 1 I consider absolutely fine for a spoiler-free video because you gotta go a little bit into it. Then after that, you can go a bit into vagaries, but you still want to talk about, like, the story and shit. Yeah.
For this movie, I didn't look too deeply because I was not impressed. I didn't find it compelling, and I didn't think it would make a compelling live-action movie. I was like, eh. But in this movie, and the trailers don't do it at all justice. More about the trailers in a moment. But I suddenly get the idea of what makes a living vampire. Like in the
Really? Really? What is it? What? He just not affected by sunlight? What?
I was reading about vampires versus living vampires, and I was like, that's so stupid. And then I saw it in the movie, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And I love that, like in the comics, it ends up not just being Morbius who walks among us. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. See, the trailers have actually shown very little.
Was that really a wink, wink, nudge, nudge? Whatever. She's gonna get into the villain. By the way, most predictable fucking villain in movie history. Like, I saw him and I was like, he's gonna be the villain. They even give him, like, an origin story as, like, a kid. Which is pointless. Like, we see them as kids and it tells you nothing, other than that they've been friends for a long time. It's the same thing that could have happened if they just had a throwaway line saying, hey, I've known you for 30 years or whatever the fuck. Although, maybe it's only supposed to be 20, because they do age down Jared Leto quite a bit in this movie. I guess to his credit, he looks good for his age, but yeah.
Little of this movie. Like, for instance, Matt Smith has a substantial role in the film. He is the co-star in any vampire movie.
He's the co-star? He's the antagonist.
That co-stars Jared Leto and Matt Smith? Well, yes, please. It's really great. And Morbius is perhaps best described as a really good entry in the vampire genre. You know what it reminded me of?
Maybe that's her way of preventing the spoiler that he's the villain, even though it's the most predictable villain turn in movie history. It was so fucking obvious.
Daybreakers, a movie I also saw as a matinee. That's a fantastic 2009 movie that has a cult following, deservedly so. And I'm sure some of you are like, I love Daybreakers. And I'm like, I know, go see Morbius. Because that movie also redefined vampire mythology, it modernized it, and it involved science. Here, the science talk worked for me. I believed it. I believed the science of how Morbius creates living vampires, and I believed Leto as a talented geneticist. I know, I did believe him in that role. Who's
cool, because I found him absolutely boring. Like, there was nothing to him. I expected Leto to kind of cheese it up or something, but there was nothing, man. He was fucking sandpaper, fucking dry toast Leto.
Just crazy enough to do this. This Morbius also has elements of The Island of Dr. Moreau, with Leto splicing himself with a vampire bat. Now, some people might laugh at that, but are you watching a movie about Morbius, the living vampire, or not? I mean, you know what you bought a ticket to. I feel the rules of what Morbius can do are quite clever and make total sense, and the visual effects do an excellent job bringing those ideas to life. You know, a lot of times they've held these movies.
No, that's actually a good question. What were the exact rules? The only rule I really remember is that he had to drink artificial blood every 4 hours and 22 minutes, and it actually reduced every time he did it. But they don't bring it up again, do they? Like he's at 6 hours and he's like, okay, I won't be able to sustain after Friday, and then that's it. And occasionally he does drink regular human blood, and it's not explained. Does that like reset it? Does he get longer off that? I don't know. These are mysteries the movie does not explain because the movie sucks.
Movies from the pandemic, and we're like, and the VFX still look like that? Whew, these are beautiful. I liked them. I know I've seen some people say they look bad.
Yeah, I thought the VFX were fine.
I really thought they were great. They're not only convincing, but they're really beautiful. I thought they were really visually arresting. And Leto does a lot to sell them as they blend seamlessly with his and Matt Smith's performances. Oh, I just really liked it. I thought the action scenes were also quite good. Again, visually stunning and sometimes quite scary. There's a scene with a nurse that I was like, that's scary. That was good.
What one? Because I was not scared at all, because I was not engaged with any of these characters at all. I think she might be talking about the early scene where, that nurse was cannon fodder, and it was set up to look like, oh, did Morbius kill her? And yeah, it was obvious he didn't. They were being cagey enough that, yeah, you knew she didn't. It was super predictable. That's a huge problem with this movie, by the way. It's so paint by numbers. It's so fucking predictable.
To me, this is a modern scientific take on a vampire movie, and I think it's exciting. As for vampires in the Spider-Verse, of course they involve science. You know, with
oh my god, can you not talk about the Spider-Verse for 5 seconds? If I feel like every couple minutes just brings up the Spider-Verse, it's like the movie needs to stand on its own. Being part of a greater universe is nice, but needs to stand on its own. It's not a major part of the movie.
Spider-Man, of course, it's scientists who are always falling into stuff and having accidents. I chuckled at that when I was watching this movie. I was like, of course it's a scientist. And they do have Horizon Labs still in the movie. That's still where Morbius works. But, you know, I didn't think it seemed so ridiculous suddenly to have vampires in the Spider-Verse. Before I thought it was dumb, but now I'm like, oh yeah, let's bring these guys in. And it makes me feel that maybe it won't be stupid to have them in the MCU either with Blade, which
why would it be? I mean, these are comic book movies. Of course, you could do supernatural stuff like vampires. I don't see why that would be an issue at all. I feel like she's setting up a fake issue to say, like, oh, it wasn't an issue at all. Who said it was an issue? People have known Blade is a Marvel character for a while, and have been wanting him to come back. So the idea of bringing vampires in is not that far-fetched.
Which I was worried about. I was worried. And I realized that living vampires are not the ones that Blade fights. Blade fights the old school kind, right? But here, there's such good work done that I don't think Kevin Feige should ignore it, particularly in terms of the visuals and the VFX. I was like, oh, are these guys going to be in the Blade movie? And I was like, no, Grace, they're living vampires. And I was like, well, there's got to be some overlap because these guys are cool. Jared Leto has been searching for his big franchise for a while now. You know, that big marquee franchise that will anchor his career. And it hasn't been going so well.
Wow, yeah, it's lots of, like, so little on the movie and so much on, like, career and franchises. Oh, God. 1 million subs.
I thought his Joker was very interesting. You know, I liked that approach, and I thought there was some really interesting stuff happening.
We found it. We found the person who likes his Joker. We found them.
Happening there. But this role fits him like a glove. And sometimes he...
Yeah, it's like he could sleepwalk through it, and it's like he's sleepwalking. It's great.
Even actually looks like himself, which I thought was funny. I'm actually a fan of Leto's work. He's very good in We Crashed. I thought that House of Gucci, even though it didn't totally work out, I understood what he was trying to do there, and I thought there were moments there when it worked. I just think, on that note, he's someone who needs strong guidance from the people behind the camera, from the script and from the directors. And I can't believe he got it from Daniel Espinosa, but he got it here for some reason. Maybe because this isn't, I think, to some degree too far.
Jesus Christ, he was so bland here. What are you talking about? There was nothing to his performance. He could have been reading a fucking phone book and I would be just as engaged with what he was saying.
From Jared Leto, but it's just...
I'm not saying that in the good way. Christopher Walken can read a fucking phone book and actually keep you engaged. Jared Leto, no, you're just fucking bored. He has no charisma in this movie. He is just sick guy, experiments on himself, vampire guy, and he's smart. That's his character. Period.
He did a really good job here. He elevated the material whenever he was on screen as a...
How? He was boring. I would argue, without doubt, the best performance here was Matt Smith, because he seemed like he was having fun. I didn't even get the sense Leto was having fun. Matt Smith, I got the sense, was having fun. That's it. Everybody else, fucking bland as fuck.
A movie star should. He was given movie star here. He looks like a movie star in all his scenes. He has the charisma of a movie star, but also the talent of an Oscar-winning actor.
God, this really feels like she's just sucking up to Jared Leto. Is she just trying to get in with Jared Leto so she can talk to him or something? I know like last year or the year before she got the leak that the Snyder Cut would actually be released. Is she just trying to make a kiss up to the big movie stars and maybe talk to him? Is that what's going on? Because this really feels like you're just kissing up to him. Because he was quite bad in this movie. Like, not even entertainingly bad. Fucking boring bad. This is maybe not quite this bad, but really pushing Johnny Depp in Transcendence. Bad. Collecting a paycheck and calling it a day.
Who's taking this comic book role very seriously. He didn't try and do anything silly with it. He took it very seriously.
No, he didn't do anything with it. He was boring.
Maybe that's the key, because he's being very serious in WeWork as well. Maybe with Joker and Gucci, he was trying to be maybe too big with his performance. His ideas were too broad. But here, I think a lot of the genius is in the details of the performance. I like that. I really think that might be what it is. I really thought he was good here. I was like, this is why people think Jared Leto could be a movie star.
Oh my God, this really just feels like she's sucking up to Jared Leto. Jesus.
Made me feel a little bit better about his upcoming potential Tron movie, which before I thought was a bad idea. But now I'm like, hey, if you can control Leto, if you can guide Leto, that could be real good. Matt Smith? Well, come on. He's Matt Smith. Always a total treat. Very little of him, again, has been shown in the trailers, and it's a real joy to see him cut loose here and really relish his role. I don't want to spoil it for you, but if you're a Matt Smith fan...
I will spoil it for you. He's the main villain. He's probably the best part of the movie. That being said, he's having fun, but he doesn't... It's not prominent enough. It's not enough to go see the movie for. It's not nearly as entertaining as Tom Hardy as Venom and Eddie Brock. And even that performance wasn't good enough for me to recommend going to see those movies. So, yeah.
You will be quite happy. Adria Arjona does a nice job, and true to the comics, there are hints that she will not stay Morbius's co-worker, fellow doctor, and love interest for long.
Oh man, she felt so tacked on. She felt like the character brought in to give him the not gaze. She felt so much like that. Like if you thought Rachel McAdams was in Doctor Strange just to give him the not gaze, if you complain about that character, this one is so much worse. There's so much less to this character. She is just there. She is the female coworker that, yes, they will eventually, like, suck face. That is it. I can tell you nothing about her character at all, other than Dr. Lady. Ugh.
Yay! I was happy about that. I mean, I feel bad that she was mostly just the love interest here, but she did a nice job. But there...
Like, that's all. And she was a doctor and she was a love... That's it. There's nothing more to her character.
There are hints of more to come, and I hope we get to see it. Well...
Yeah, there's hints of more to come, but, like, we had nothing to begin with. Like, anything is hints to more to come.
Jared Harris, always a welcome addition. Love that guy.
Yeah, I like Jared Harris, but, like, again, like, he had nothing to do in this movie. He was, like, there. It was boring. He's wasted.
Tyrese! Remember how happy he was to sign on for this film and to get a multi-picture deal? But his sci-fi artificial arm is gone. He just has 2 regular arms. So while he does, I mean, there was one scene where I was like, is he supposed to have a bionic arm? But I looked and I was like, no, that looks like his regular arm. So I think they cut it out because we saw him filming with it. So I think it's interesting they chose, I mean, maybe this movie's been whittled down substantially, but I think that they were right to do it because whatever they ended up with works.
Yeah, he was pretty forgettable too. I actually forgot he was in this movie until you brought it up. Because, yeah, he's totally in this movie. He's cop dude. He's there.
But Tyrese, he's very good as FBI Agent Stroud from the comics. But Al Madrigal has all the good jokes as his partner and it easily steals the scenes that they're in because Tyrese doesn't have a sci-fi, electronic, artificial arm to boost his performance. And, Tyrese is such the...
Do you need that to boost a performance? I would say you just need, like, good lines. A good, like decent lines. Something to do in the story. Just,
He provides the comedic relief in the Fast and Furious movies, so it's weird to see him as the straight man here, while Al Madrigal gets all the jokes. I'm like, that's weird. But I have to say, Tyrese did a very good job in the more serious side of the scenes. I believed him as an FBI agent. I thought he had authority. Finally, I want to give a shout out to composer John Ekstrand, who really did a fantastic job on the score. I'm going to buy it for working out. It's really cool. I mean, especially with the opening and closing credits, I was like, oh yeah, I'm into this. I mean, I wait. We knew there were only 2 end.
I actually don't remember the score, which I would say is normally a good thing. The memorable scores are the really good and the really bad ones. A good score, like just a standard good score, is, for me, not usually memorable. So, I mean, that's good. It didn't distract from the movie. So, yeah, I guess it was fine, but I couldn't tell you anything about it. I'm not as much a music guy.
Credit scenes going in, but I was like, maybe they snuck in a third. I got to know for sure. So many of us in the press had to wait, as we do at every press screening, for the entire credits to run. But I enjoyed it. I was like, this is good music. I like it a lot. And I also have to say, director Daniel Espinosa, again, deserves a shout out. I've seen a few of his movies, and they're fine. But I never was like, oh, who's this Daniel Espinosa guy? Let's get him another movie. I'm surprised Sony said that. But this is by far the best thing I've seen him do.
Yeah, I've not seen any of those movies. And if this is the best thing he's done, I am not interested in seeing anything else. Because, fuck. Like, there is no flair to this at all. Oh.
I mean, I guess some people might just dismiss this movie as the sexy nightclub vampire movie, right?
Sexy nightclub vampire? What the fuck? How? This is like scientist I guess, what, Matt Smith gets a brief scene in a nightclub? Where he hits on a girl and then her boyfriend and her friends, like, talk shit to him and then he walks outside and beats the shit out of him? I mean, cool. Sexy nightclub. What the fuck, man? I don't even know what you're talking about.
But I don't think that's fair. I think that's being a hater. Try and be open-minded. I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't like it, fine. But try to be honest with yourself. Were you open-minded to what they were trying to do here?
Be open-minded to what they were trying to do? What were they trying to do, Grace? What big mind-expanding thing were they trying to do? This was a by-the-numbers movie. Paint by numbers. It was all so expected. Everything. Every twist was paint by numbers. If you've seen a movie kind of like this, you've seen this fucking movie, except better, because no one here is adding any flair except a bit by Matt Smith. Matt Smith is doing some flair here, and he is the best part of the movie, but it's not nearly enough to recommend going see it, because everybody else is just nowhere and bland.
I mean, Jared Leto looks like modern Dracula to me. And I mean, he really can pop a coat collar, just as he did as the Joker.
Oh my God. Jesus. Can you let Jared Leto go?
Okay.
Wow.
And I found Matt Smith's look really original. I thought he was mesmerizing. So I hope you...
He looked like Matt Smith. Are you talking about the vampire looks? I mean, the vampire effects were alright. I thought they were okay. It doesn't save the movie.
Give this movie a shot. Again, great matinee. You know, discount day at the movies, you will...
Oh yeah, it's so good, it's worth a matinee. I mean, she's really selling it up, and then she's adding in there, oh yeah, go check it out on matinee. Usually matinee is what I give for a movie if it's like, okay, this isn't great, but like, if you want to kill a couple hours in an afternoon, okay. Like, if you really want to see it, you know, go do a matinee. It's not usually a good review. It's a lukewarm review at best.
Will be thrilled. And hey, as again, scientists, right? It is a good joke that they're always the ones who turn into these Spider-Man characters. And on that note,
well, that's because it's easier to write, because, you know, they're going to be experimenting on the fringes of science. It's kind of easy to write that.
Nicest thing I can say about Morbius is that I can totally see him as an anti-hero, both fighting and helping Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, a new Miles Morales, in the near future in a Sony movie.
So, you just gave this flowery review, and the best thing you can say about it is I can see him fighting Spider-Man in the future? What the fuck? That would be a bad review in my book. If the best thing I can say about this movie is, oh yeah, it might be cool if they fight another character in a different fucking movie, that's not good. This movie has to be good. The best thing about this movie has to be from this fucking movie, not what it could maybe do later. Fuck. The best thing about Iron Man was not the Nick Fury cameo. The Nick Fury cameo was icing on top of an already delicious cake. The original Iron Man had Robert Downey Jr. fucking becoming Tony Stark. Jeff Bridges was a fun villain, even though there wasn't much for him to do. Gwyneth Paltrow was great as the love interest, and they were all charismatic, and these are all, like, well-done characters. Jon Favreau really knew how to get the best performances from all his actors. Jensen, the guy from the cave in Iron Man, has way more character than anybody in Morbius. Anybody. So if somebody says the best thing about Iron Man is that, oh, it could be the Avengers later, no. So saying the best thing about Morbius is, oh, maybe he'll fight Spider-Man later, that's bad.
And I would be excited to see it. So that's, we'll talk about some of the specifics in the spoiler review, but I liked it. So that's my non-spoiler review of Morbius. I'm excited to hear your own thoughts down below. Subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.
Oh God, it's been a while since I don't know if I've ever actually sat down and watched a whole, beyond the trailer. Oh God, it's so goddamn superficial. Jesus Christ. How long has this channel been around for? Oh God, no, shut up. 2008. So she's been doing this for 14 years approximately. I mean, I don't know when she started doing this regularly. She's probably doing it regularly for at least 10 years. And... Oh, God. There's like nothing to that. That was boring and bad. I don't think I have much to say other than I apologize for having you sit through a Grace Randolph video with me. I just know she was trending on Twitter for her Morbius takes. And you know what? If it was just, I like this aspect of the movie and I like that aspect of the movie, I could probably get behind it. Like the John Capia thing, I can critique what you're saying. I just disagree with you on the story points. I understand spoiler free, but you can do some story stuff in a spoiler-free review. She did nothing. She fucking talked about how great fucking Jared Leto was when he sucked. He was dreadful. Oh. God, she's really bad at the movie thing. Jesus. There's nothing to that review. There was no substance to it. At all, other than I like Jared Leto, and the best thing about this movie is that maybe there'll be a future movie with Spider-Man in it, which is a bad review. If the best thing about a movie is maybe the future movie will be cool, that's a bad review. Oh, Jesus Christ. Bad.
They think order and chaos are somehow opposites and try to control what won't be.
I used to fuck guys like you.